Hello students, welcome back to the revision class of second chapter, that is sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. So in the last class we covered the topic of the structure of stamen, structure of the anther, structure of the microsporangium and the detailed structure of the microspore, which later develops into pollen grains, and we discussed about the male gametophyte, and along with that we did the structure of the pistil, structure of the ovule, structure of the female gametophyte in detail. Now today we will start with the topic of the pollination. So we have already covered this in the beginning of the session, that pollination is the process of the transfer of the pollen grains from the anther. During the process of dehiscence, pollen grains come out and these pollen grains are shifted to the stigma of a pistil, and this is called as pollination. Now flowers or plants have developed different ways of adaptations to achieve pollination. So if you remember, we have done this already before, that there are types of pollination according to how many flowers are involved and how many individuals are involved. If the pollen grain of a flower falls on the stigma of the same flower, it is called as autogamy, and if it falls on the another flower but on the same individual plant, it is called as Xenogamy. And when there are two different flowers involved of two different individuals, it is called as Xenogamy. So autogamy is something in which the role of only one flower is there, and because the both structures, male and female gametes, they come from the same individual, so it is basically the self-pollination. And in such a concept, there is no need of any agent because everything is going to happen within the same flower. Now there is a concept given in NCERT regarding the plants in which two types of flowers are there. So there are plants such as Viola, which is called as common pansy, Oxalis and Camelina. They prepare two types of flowers, chasmogamous flowers and clistogamous flower. The flowers which are similar to any other flower which opens and expose their reproductive structures are called as chasmogamous flowers. But there are some plants, and then in these plants also there are some flowers which remain closed, they do not open at all. So such flowers are called as the clistogamous flowers. Now in the clistogamous flowers, the anther and stigma are so close to each other that it ensures 100% that the pollination will occur with the participation of the same flower structures. And in such plants, thus 100% chances of seed formation is there. So they will definitely produce, there is 100% chances of seed formation. But the problem with the clistogamy is that they do not bring variation. And we all know variation is important because it causes the evolution to take place, adaptations to take place. So there is a negative point as well as a positive point for clistogamous flowers. Another good point is that if the agents required for pollination are absent, in that case also clistogamous flowers are able to prepare seeds 100%. So there won't be ovules or male gametes, female gametes getting lost in this concept. And another good thing is that in these flowers, the flower need not to prepare the nectar and to have bright color because there is no need to attract anything. So a lot of resources and energy the plant is saving in this concept. Now the second type is Xenogamy. Xenogamy is genetically self-pollination, but it is functionally or ecologically cross-pollination because it needs the participation of some pollinating agent, could be biotic agent or abiotic agent, and that agent is going to transfer the pollen grains from one flower to another flower's stigma but on the same plant. So because same plant is involved, it is genetically self-pollination, but because agent is required, it is called as functionally or ecologically, it is called as cross-pollination. So it is of no use for a plant to have Xenogamous flowers. Now the next is the Xenogamy. Xenogamy is the best concept because it causes variation, because there is participation of the flowers on two different plants. So that means genetically it is cross-pollination, and ecologically and functionally also it is cross-pollination. So it brings genetically different types of pollen grains to the stigma. Thus it adds variation, it adds to the adaptation as well as to the evolution. Now The next thing as per the NCERT are the agents of the pollination. There are various types of agents which are grouped as the abiotic agent and the biotic agent. So plants use two types of abiotic agent, wind and water, and they used one type of agents which are living, and those are the animals. Now there are array of animals, various types of animals involved, like it could be the insects, it could be the birds, mammals also, and then there are chances where even the lizards are involved in pollination, bats are involved in pollination at night time. So majority of the plants use biotic agent for pollination. Only few plants are there which use abiotic agents for pollination. Pollen grains coming in contact with the stigma is a chance factor in both in the case of the wind pollination and the water pollination. So these are something in which surety of transfer is not there. That's why in these plants they prepare great number of pollen grains. So to compensate for these uncertainties and then loss of pollen grains, the flowers in such plants prepare large number of pollen grains compared to the number of the ovules available for pollination.